Welcome to Personal Injury Claims Explained by Foyle Legal, your trusted source for personal injury claims in Western Australia. Each week, we simplify complex legal issues, from motor vehicle accidents to workplace injuries, so you can confidently navigate your rights and secure the compensation you deserve.
Ever driven down a WA road and felt that shiver down your spine?
Mhm.
You know, not from the scenery, but from a near miss.
Oh, we've all been there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into WA road accident data.
We're going beyond those flashing lights and sirens,
Right.
trying to understand the why.
Exactly. The why behind those heart-stopping moments.
It's about the raw numbers
Yeah.
and how they connect to your daily drive,
Yeah,
your life on WA roads.
exactly. And our source today is insights from a local law firm's blog.
Interesting.
Yeah, so think real-world data.
Okay.
With a little bit of that, been there, seen that wisdom.
Yeah, they deal with the aftermath, so
They see it all.
they've got that unique perspective
Yeah.
on the common threads
Okay.
in WA accidents.
So buckle up, listeners. We're arming you with the knowledge
Knowledge is power.
to navigate those WA roads a bit safer.
Yes.
Whether you're driving, you're a passenger,
Behind the wheel
or even just walking down the street.
because sometimes knowledge is the best defense.
It really is.
Yeah.
Let's start with the usual suspects.
Okay.
The most common types of accidents on WA roads. The blog highlights 4.
Okay.
And the first one is something I think we've probably all experienced. Rear enders.
Oh, yeah.
That sinking feeling when you're stuck in traffic,
Yeah.
on the Graham Farmer Freeway, where you're crawling along Albany Highway and suddenly, bam.
It's almost a rite of passage for us WA drivers.
Isn't it?
But there's a reason.
Yeah.
It might be linked to our state's unique road network.
Yeah.
Think about it, those long stretches of the Great Eastern Highway.
Yeah.
Drivers get lulled into a false sense of security.
That's so true.
And then you add in distractions, fatigue,
Yeah.
fluctuating speed limits.
Oh, yeah.
You've got a recipe for fender benders.
Makes you want to grip the steering wheel a little tighter, doesn't it?
It does, it does.
Speaking of gripping the wheel, the blog's next category is head-on collisions,
Right.
the stuff of nightmares.
Yeah.
And apparently these are more frequent in regional WA.
Yeah, that's where those vast distances that we associate with WA come into play.
Right.
Imagine hours on end driving across the Nullarbor
Oh, yeah.
or navigating those windy roads down south.
Right.
Fatigue
Big time.
becomes a serious risk factor,
Yeah.
as does encountering wildlife,
Oh, absolutely.
unexpected obstacles,
It's a regular occurrence here.
which, let's be honest, happens a lot in WA.
Just thinking about a rogue kangaroo jumping out of nowhere makes me nervous.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to accident type number 3, single vehicle collisions. This one seems a bit counterintuitive.
Right.
If you're the only one on the road, what's there to hit?
It's easy to think that way, but you've got to remember those environmental factors we talked about.
Okay.
Picture yourself cruising down Indian Ocean Drive on a blustery day,
Right.
or tackling the sharp bends of Caves Road in the southwest.
Yeah.
Suddenly, driver inattention, a patch of black ice, or even a stray animal can send you veering off course. It's a stark reminder that even when you're alone on the road, you're not alone with the elements.
That's a good point.
And as the blog pointed out, these accidents often lead to unique legal situations,
Because
since the driver is often the sole claimant.
That's right, yeah. It's a good reminder that there's always more to the story than meets the eye.
Always.
Finally, we have the accident type that hits closest to home for everyone.
Right.
Drivers and non-drivers alike. Pedestrian accidents.
Yeah.
Whether we're walking, jogging, or just crossing the street, we're all pedestrians at some point.
Absolutely. And this highlights a shared responsibility on our roads.
Right.
Drivers need to be extra vigilant, particularly in built-up areas like the Perth CBD or around schools.
Of course, yeah.
However, pedestrians also play a crucial role. It's about being aware of your surroundings, making eye contact with drivers, and not assuming a car will see you, even if you have right-of-way.
It's almost like we need to learn how to walk defensively
Yes.
alongside defensive driving.
Exactly.
That's certainly a new way of looking at it for me.
It's a critical, yet often overlooked aspect of road safety, especially here in WOA. But we'll delve a little deeper into those pedestrian dynamics a bit later.
Now, this next bit from the blog really made me stop and think.
Okay.
We often hear about driver error
Right.
as a major cause of accidents. But turns out medical conditions play a much bigger role than we might realize.
It's interesting how this challenges our perceptions of blame.
Yeah.
We often just jump to conclusions about reckless driving.
Yeah.
But the reality is, it's much more nuanced.
It is.
Think about it. Someone experiencing a sudden dizzy spell,
Yeah.
navigating a roundabout in the city,
Yeah.
or a diabetic driver experiencing low blood sugar on a long drive through the wheat belt.
Right.
These are real medical events that can impact driving ability,
Totally.
regardless of how experienced
Yeah.
or cautious a driver they may be.
Yeah, it's a really good point. You never really know what someone else might be dealing with behind the wheel.
Exactly.
It's a call for compassion
Compassion.
and understanding, for sure.
Yes.
But more importantly, it shines a light on personal responsibility.
Yeah, precisely. It's about being aware of our own physical and mental states before we even turn the ignition key.
Right.
Are we well rested?
Yeah,
Have we taken our medication? Are we fit to be behind the wheel?
it's a good point.
These are the questions that we owe it to ourselves and to others on the road to ask.
We do. It's about taking ownership of our role in creating a safer driving environment
Absolutely.
for everyone.
For everyone.
Speaking of responsibility, let's move on to a more sobering topic, fatal crashes. The blog cites a 2015 report on the leading causes of these devastating accidents.
Okay.
And while the usual suspects are there,
Yeah.
drugs, alcohol, and speed,
Right.
it's the WA-specific context that I think paints a clearer picture.
And that context is critical because it's not enough to just identify the problems.
Right.
We need to understand their prevalence here in WA compared to other regions.
Right.
Are these factors more or less common in our state?
Exactly.
And that kind of data is what helps us move beyond generalizations
Yeah.
and towards targeted solutions.
It's about understanding the why
The why.
behind those statistics.
Exactly.
For example, the report highlights seatbelts,
Okay.
which might seem obvious,
Right.
but it found that a staggering 25% of those killed in crashes weren't wearing them.
Wow.
That's a quarter of the fatalities,
It's huge.
where a simple action could have made a world of difference.
It's a stark reminder, isn't it,
It is.
that our choices have consequences,
They do.
not just for ourselves, but for everyone else on the road.
That's it.
Every time we get behind the wheel, we're part of a larger ecosystem
You are.
of drivers, passengers, cyclists, pedestrians.
Yeah.
Our actions have a ripple effect.
It's about recognizing that even seemingly small choices can have a monumental impact.
Yeah.
And on that note, the report also calls out fatigue and inattention as major culprits in those tragic outcomes. It's something we've all experienced, especially on those long, monotonous stretches of WOA highway.
Absolutely. Think
Yeah.
about driving across the Nullarbor.
Oh,
The endless horizon.
Yeah.
The unchanging scenery. It's easy for your mind to wander, for your reactions to slow down.
Yeah.
You lose those crucial seconds of awareness.
You do.
And it's not just about external distractions like mobile phones.
Right.
It's about our internal environment,
Yeah.
our mental state.
It's about being honest with ourselves.
Totally.
Are we truly alert enough to be behind the wheel,
Are we?
to respond effectively in an emergency? Because the road demands our full attention, especially here in WA.
Precisely. And this ties back to our earlier discussion about medical conditions.
It does, yeah.
Even seemingly minor things like fatigue or stress
Yeah.
can significantly impact our driving ability.
It all adds up.
We need to be mindful of those internal factors
Yeah.
just as we are of the external ones.
Absolutely. Now, here's a statistic that really surprised me.
Okay.
More fatalities occur in regional WA than in Perth,
Really?
despite the significantly lower population. It seems counterintuitive,
Yeah.
given the hustle and bustle of city driving.
It really does.
You would think it would be the opposite,
Yeah, you would.
but it's not.
So what's the blog say about that?
Well, they say it speaks to the unique challenges of our regional road network.
Okay.
We're talking about vast distances between towns,
Right.
often on roads that are less forgiving than city streets.
Mhm.
Think about the dangers of overtaking on a single lane highway
Yeah.
or the impact of hitting wildlife at high speed.
Right.
Remember our earlier discussion about single vehicle collisions?
Yeah.
They're unfortunately more common in regional areas and often more likely to be fatal. Well, we've covered a lot of ground, haven't we?
We have.
From those everyday accidents, we've probably all had to the impact of medical conditions.
Yeah.
And the reality of fatal crashes, it's a lot to take in.
It is.
But knowledge is power, or so they say.
Absolutely. And that's the whole point. It's not about overwhelming you with data. It's about giving you the information
Yeah.
to make safer choices.
Think of it as a little extra awareness you can carry with you,
Yeah.
whether you're driving or just crossing the street.
Exactly. It's not just knowing the road rules. It's about understanding those common scenarios
Right.
that lead to accidents and those human factors at play.
Yeah,
It's about knowing your own limitations, your own blind spots
that's right. Yeah.
as a driver or even as a pedestrian.
And being extra cautious on those long WA drives.
Right.
Knowing fatigue is a real risk.
Especially on those winding coastal roads.
Exactly. Taking responsibility
Yeah.
for your safety and the safety of others.
Absolutely, because ultimately that's what it's all about,
Yeah.
making our roads safer.
For everyone. So next time you're out there,
Yeah.
navigating the streets of Perth or cruising down the Great Eastern Highway,
Remember this.
remember what we talked about today. It might make all the difference.
A little knowledge goes a long way.
It certainly does. Now, one last thought for you to ponder on your next commute.
Okay.
We've been focusing on WA today, but I wonder how our stats stack up against the rest of Australia,
Yeah.
or even globally. Just something to think about. Maybe do a little research of your own.
Always good to see the bigger picture.
Until next time, drive safe, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to Personal Injury Claims explained by Foyle Legal. Remember, this podcast is for informational purposes and isn't legal advice. For advice specific to your situation, visit us at Foyle Legal. And don't forget to subscribe or leave a review.